If you're learning Portuguese, you know it's filled with these little puzzles. And there's one that trips up pretty much everyone, the whole Foste versus foi thing. If that's ever made you scratch your head, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to solve it together once and for all. So let's just dive right into a real-world situation. We're not going to start with boring grammar rules. Instead, let's see how this little puzzle pops up in a totally normal conversation. Okay, so picture this. Someone says to you, Eu fui com amigo à agência. It's a super common, everyday kind of statement. It just means I went to the agency with a friend. Seems pretty straightforward, right? But here's where the puzzle starts. If you want to ask them a question about it, like, oh, where did you go? The verb suddenly changes. You'll either hear them ask foste or foi. So why does foi all of a sudden become something completely different? Well, that's exactly what we're about to figure out. The first piece of our puzzle is actually surprisingly simple. It's something we all do in our native languages without even thinking about it. It's all about the natural back and forth of a conversation, specifically that shift from I to you. I mean, think about it, right? When someone makes a statement about what I did, any question you ask them is naturally going to be about you. It's this basic shift in perspective that happens in every single language, not just Portuguese. This is the absolute core idea we need to get. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. The original statement over on the left has the subject eu, which means I. But the question you ask in response on the right, the subject immediately shifts to tu or você, which both mean you. This subject change is the key that unlocks everything. Okay, so now that we get the whole I shifts to you thing, we've hit the next layer of the puzzle. And this is the part that's really specific to Portuguese. There's more than one way to say you. This is where context becomes absolutely crucial. Unlike in English, where you is just you, in Portuguese, the word you pick for you actually signals your relationship to the person you're talking to. And sometimes it can even tell you what part of the world you're in. So, if there are different ways of saying you, it probably makes sense that there are different verb forms to match, right? Now let's map out exactly which verb goes with which you. This is where it's all going to click into place. This little table breaks it all down beautifully. See that first row? If you're using tu, that's the informal you, the one you'd use with friends and family, and it's super common in Portugal, the verb you need is fostes. But now look at that second row. If you're using você, which is either more formal and polite or just the standard way to say you in Brazil, the verb changes to foi. All right, we have all the pieces now. We know the subject has to shift from I to you, and we know there are two main kinds of you, each with its own special verb. So let's put it all together and finally crack this case. So here we are, right back where we started. I went with a friend to the agency. Now let's try to build the questions someone would ask back, using everything we've just learned. It really just comes down to a simple two-step mental process. First, you know your question has to be about you, not I. That's step one. Second, you just think about the context. Is this a casual chat with a friend, or is it a more formal or polite situation? That single decision tells you exactly which verb to pick. And there it is. This is why both aonde foste and aonde foi are totally correct. Foste is what your friend in Lisbon might ask you. Foi is what a stranger in Rio, or maybe your boss in Porto would probably ask. They both mean where did you go? They just show a different kind of relationship. Now, you might still have one last question lingering in the back of your mind. It seems like it would be so much simpler. Why can't you just keep the verb the same and ask the question using fui? And the reason is actually pretty logical and kind of funny. If you ask a question that starts with fui, you're asking about I. So you'd literally be asking yourself, where did I go? And, while that might be a fair question if you're having a very, very confusing day, it's definitely not how you have a normal conversation. So, to wrap it all up, here are the key takeaways. When you hear fui, your question is about you. You're going to use foste for the informal tu, and you'll use foi for the more formal, or standard Brazilian, você. It's really as simple as that. And there you have it. The puzzle is officially solved. You now have the rulebook for one of the most common mix-ups in Portuguese. So the only real question left is, in your next conversation, which you are you going to choose to be?